So here's the big question. Can an AI do more than just spit back facts it's learned? Can it actually think like a scientist? And I don't mean just knowing definitions from a textbook. I'm talking about the real, messy, creative process at the heart of science, coming up with a new idea, figuring out how to test it, and connecting the dots. Today, we're diving into how you even begin to measure that, and if AI is anywhere close.
Just take a look at this timeline. It really shows you the problem we're up against. Back in late 2023, a benchmark called GPQA was considered super tough for AI. GPT-4 only got a 39%, way below what a human expert would get. But fast forward, and a model like GPT 5.2 is now scoring a whopping 92%. When you see a jump like that, you have to ask, is the AI suddenly a genius, or do the tests just get way too easy?
And that's the core of the problem, right? When our smartest AIs are acing all the final exams we throw at them, we need a totally new way to figure out what they actually understand. How do you test for real scientific intelligence when all your old measuring sticks are basically broken?
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about this graduation problem. Then we'll introduce a brand new test called FrontierScience. We'll look at its two very different parts, check out the first report card, and finally look beyond the benchmark at what this all means for the future. Okay, first up, AI's graduation problem. You can think of it like this. The models have pretty much graduated from our current school of tests. And once everyone is getting an A+, the test isn't telling you who's making real progress anymore. You can't spot the weaknesses or know where to improve.
The issue is that these older benchmarks have become, in the lingo, saturated. Most of them are just multiple choice or short answer questions. They're great at testing what an AI knows, but not how it thinks. We've basically been giving AI a really hard pop quiz. But now it's time to see if it can handle a PhD qualifying exam, something that needs deep, open-ended thinking.
So what's the solution? Well, OpenAI has proposed one, and it's a brand new, incredibly difficult benchmark that's designed to be that next-level final exam. It's called FrontierScience.
At its heart, FrontierScience is a test built to see if an AI can reason like a top-tier scientist. It covers physics, chemistry, and biology, but it's specifically designed to measure the skills that scientists actually use day to day.
And get this, these aren't just any old questions. The test was put together by people who are at the absolute top of their game. We're talking 42 international Olympiad medalists and 45 PhD scientists. These experts created over 700 questions specifically to push AI to its absolute limits.
Now, what's really cool about FrontierScience is that it's not just one type of test. It actually splits its questions into two totally different tracks to probe different kinds of scientific thinking.
On one side, you have the Olympiad track. Think of this like a brutal math competition. It's all about pure, structured logic with a clear right answer. It's about being precise. But on the other side, you have the research track. This is completely different. It's more like a task your professor would give you in a PhD program. It's open-ended, messy, and requires multiple steps, just like real science.
Okay, here's an example from that research track. And seriously, do not worry about understanding the chemistry. Just look at the sheer complexity of it. This isn't picking A, B, or C. It's asking the AI to figure out the structure of 5 different chemicals based on a whole story of chemical reactions. That is some expert-level synthesis right there.
But that brings up a huge question, right? How in the world do you grade something that open-ended and complex in a fair, consistent way? How do you turn a long, written-out explanation into a number? It's a massive challenge, but OpenAI came up with a pretty clever system.
So instead of just grading the final answer as right or wrong, they created a detailed 10-point rubric for every single research question. They break the problem down into smaller pieces. So you get a point for correctly analyzing why an old method doesn't work. You get another point for explaining a specific chemical process, and another for interpreting some data correctly. They're grading the steps in the reasoning, which gives a much better sense of what the AI truly gets.
So, the moment of truth. With this super hard exam, how did today's top models like GPT 5.2 and Gemini 3 Pro actually do? Let's check out the first report card.
On the structured logical Olympiad track, the results are honestly pretty incredible. The best models are crushing it. GPT 5.2 scores a 77%, with Gemini 3 Pro right on its heels at 76%. This shows these AIs are seriously powerful when it comes to pure, structured problem solving. These are questions that would stump most humans.
But then, you get to the research track, the open-ended, creative PhD-level stuff, and wow, the scores just fall off a cliff. Even the top model, GPT 5.2, only gets a 25%. There is a massive, massive gap between how it handles structured logic versus creative multi-step research.
And that contrast right there, that tells the whole story. AI is already an amazing tool for structured thinking, but when it comes to that open-ended, creative work that really defines scientific breakthroughs, there's a long way to go. That's because those problems need more than just logic. They need creativity, judgment, and the ability to work with fuzzy information. For now, our human intuition is still very much in the driver's seat.
All right, for our last section, let's zoom out a bit. It's really important to understand what a test like this can't do and what the real goal is here.
We have to remember, as cool as frontier science is, it is still a written exam. It just can't capture the entire, messy, amazing process of doing science. It can't measure that spark of a truly new idea, or the skill of running a real experiment in a lab, or analyzing video footage. It's a snapshot, not the whole movie.
And that gets us to the true North Star. As OpenAI themselves put it, the ultimate test isn't about getting a high score on a benchmark. The most important measure is the real new discoveries that AI can help us make. The whole point is to accelerate progress for humanity, not just build a better test taker.
Which leaves us with this one last really exciting thought. These benchmarks, they're crucial steps. They show us where we are and how far we still have to go. But more than that, they are paving the way for a future where this question isn't science fiction anymore, but a very real possibility. What do you think that first big discovery will be?